So the first one you pointed out today was about more lawsuits. Let me grab that. Let's see. Okay.
So I'll preface this as you look for it.
Yeah.
It's important to understand. I think from it benefits everyone in the process if whatever is acknowledged and understood in a property is disclosed. There's a saying in real estate, if there's a question, you should always disclose. If there's a question of whether you should or shouldn't, the answer is always yes.
Default.
As a seller, for sure, because lawsuits go in one direction for the most part. It's buyer suing seller and agents involved commonly as well. And these particularly rise when there's any market shifts, when a market flattens, and it's triggered by maybe a slight sense of buyer's remorse if their value isn't rising rapidly. I mean, they can historically show you that they will come into play more when values are not rising at rapid rates. It's just something that a buyer will. It's more likely to absorb and say, "Oh, I'm sure they didn't know about this."
Right.
But as soon as, "Oh man, I don't have great value, and now this issue's happened," and it's hurting.
Well, that's the thing
too.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? The turning of the market. Yeah, we've definitely read some headlines where it talks about buyer's remorse, buyer's guilt about purchasing now rather than waiting. Well, let me go through this a little bit. This is from businessinsider.com, and I will go ahead and put this in the comments. Maybe you can grab it. I know they are a paid content service, but let's see what we can do here. Business Insider reads, more home buyers and sellers are suing real estate agents claiming they were misled about the value of their homes. Looks like a worried buyer there. Lawsuits against real estate professionals increased 9% between 2021 and 2022 as home prices declined. Most lawsuits aim to trigger reimbursements under professional liability insurance policies. Zach Vollmer, an SVP at Victor Insurance Managers, expects that number to increase in 2023. As Frank Sinatra once crooned, regrets, I've had a few. Now that home prices are starting to decline across the U.S. because of a souring economy, a growing number of recent buyers and sellers are feeling more than regret after exchanging keys and leaving the closing table. In the past year, there has been steady rise in lawsuits being filed against agents, brokers, and other real estate professionals as both home buyers and sellers try to recoup their lost home value. Zach Vollmer, the senior vice president of real estate at Victor Insurance Managers, Inc., a global underwriting firm, told Insider. Vollmer said that the number of lawsuits filed between 2021 and 2022 increased by 9%, although Vollmer declined to provide specific figures, citing proprietary information. These cyclical increases are driven by the unhappy consumer, who is more likely to file a suit after having had a negative emotional experience during a real estate transaction, Vollmer said of the trend. Vollmer added that lawsuits targeting real estate professionals are common when the home prices fall. Oftentimes, they are filed by sellers who waited too long to list their home or buyers who might have overlooked a minor issue during the inspection process and now live in a home with a value below what they paid, Vollmer said. Any comments there so far, Darren?
Well, I think that last paragraph summarizes it more than anything. And I was referring to buyer-seller, but then there is a seller to agent dynamic that happens as well. We can elaborate more on that at the end.
Okay. Let's see. The increasing frequency of lawsuits coincides with a slew of predictions from real estate experts who expect home prices to continue to decrease in 2023. For instance, Lawrence Yun, the chief economist at the National Association of Realtors, told Insider in December that half the country could see home price declines of nearly 10%. Analysts at Moody's were more optimistic and said home prices could fall between 3 and 8% by the end of the year. In most cases, Vollmer said the lawsuits contain allegations that seek to trigger reimbursements under a real estate professional's liability insurance policy. Some of those claims include non-disclosure, meaning an agent or broker withheld material information from their client, or negligence and misrepresentation during the transaction. What makes this situation different is that inflation, supply chain disruptions, and rising material costs all contributed to the increase in the average paid claim of $39,000 in 2022, representing a 13% year-over-year climb, Vollmer explained. Looking ahead to 2023, Vollmer expects the number of lawsuits filed to increase, although it's impossible to project exactly how many will be filed by year's end. He doesn't expect many lawsuits to be filed by borrowers who find themselves underwater, meaning their home value is less than what they paid for it because of new laws implemented in the wake of the 2007 recession. Ah, interesting. An analysis of mortgage data by Black Knight found that more than 270,000 borrowers were underwater on their mortgage as of December 2022, representing approximately 8% of all home buyers. However, Vollmer added that lawsuits concerning wrongful evictions, property preservation, and short sale transactions when a large number of homes face foreclosure could cause that number to rise. The dynamics of a down market are unique, but the consistent driver is a populace unhappy with the state of the housing market, Vollmer said.
Sure.
All right.
So, yeah, shift. Disclose across the board, always from a seller, also from an agent to a seller, right? Prepare and present comparables. One of the highest risks, I think, from an agent perspective would be if it's not fully exposed to the market, if there's a potential dual agency or an off-market sale, that definitely creates a more likely opportunity for an unhappy seller. So it's always about providing as much information as possible, disclosing as much as you know, and just letting the chips fall where they may upon doing that. But even with that said, and we experienced a lawsuit last year, which, in my opinion, 100% frivolous. Just an opportunist buyer who, and in most cases, they'll pull in both the seller and the seller's agent. There was no issues. But what the insurance companies do, and agents on the other side kind of know this, is they'll just settle. It's cheaper to settle.
Yeah.
So they'll
Don't
get
drag
something.
it out.
Absolutely. The costs of dragging it out are very high. So disclose as much as you can, whenever you can, and staying out of court is always great.